Hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Wade and Carter Show. Ash Brent live from the Atson Hopper studio. Thanks to everybody joining us on the mothership of Magic 95.9 on the No Bull Network out there in terrestrial radio land, and everybody who checks in on Facebook and YouTube every single morning. If you're new to the show, welcome, and follow and subscribe, like it, and you'll get notified every Monday to Friday morning when we go live. Greg Garcia, Scott Tomko, Wendy Hughes Garcia on the podium this morning. Thanks for checking in, everybody. Wade and Carter Weather brought to you by the great folks at AT Deerlam Hayfeed and Ranch Services, where we remind you to stop on by, get your insecticides, because you know with the rain, the mosquitoes are coming. And also, don't forget, you can also buy your tickets for the Crossroads Independent Cattlemen's Association fundraiser this Saturday at Club Westerner. Doors open at 3:30. They've got all sorts of fun and games, a mini cow, a mini horse. It's going to be a lot of fun for the whole family.
Hamburgers. Bearded lady. Will there be a bearded lady there?
Fattest man in the world.
Right. Will he be there?
He might be. So, and we're going to give some tickets away to that later this week as well.
Very interesting. Yeah, we have tickets available for that, but you can go by Crossroads Independent Cattlemen's Association. You can pick up your insecticides, and while you're at it, you can pick up a blend bag of the American Plant Food 21714, known affectionately at Deerlam as the Wade and Carter blend.
That's all you have to fertilizer they have.
It is the top selling fertilizer. I don't think it's a coincidence that it's the one we promote.
No, not at all.
And my yard and your yard, sir.
Green.
And Torn Bale's yard as poster children for said product. 72 degrees under cloudy skies in Victoria, Texas. Heading to a high today of 87. Going to be cloudy all day and then a little bit windy. It is rally week. I've decided now to focus more on the positive. It was a rally and protest. But you know my position on protest. They don't do anything. So I think I'm just going to focus on the rally side of it. And we're promoting No Fools Rally. And our program is going to center around giving to you free tacos. And I'm not talking about this ain't going to be something. This is going to be seasoned. We're going to salt, pepper. We're going to bake. We're going to get fresh ground breakfast sausage from the chopping block. If you've never had it, come by Saturday morning. It will be free. So come by and get it at the Patty Dodson Center. Our own Junior Samples and I and Ash, hopefully, will be there early.
Yeah, we'll be there.
Like 6-ish. But this ain't no garage sale. This ain't a garage sale.
I'm up at that time.
Yeah, don't come knock on my door at 6 on Garage Sale Friday. Wait until about 7:30. You can drive by. We'll have tacos ready. We're going to have bacon, egg, and cheese, sausage, egg, and cheese, sausage and egg, bacon and egg, and maybe just egg and egg or egg and cheese. We're not going to try to beat you up. In fact, if things go well, you might be able to drive up and go, can I have just egg and cheese? Yeah, you can. We've upped our order with Veracruz. These are individually made by the same little lady. The best flour tortillas in town, period. They're going to be fresh. Got a bunch of those coming. And we're going to have some surprises. So Junior Sample says he's making refried beans, which, by the way, he's going to make on site. The food is going to be amazing.
Yeah.
And and if you can, I get so excited about the rally, and I apologize. If you can, bring a can, preferably a number 10, that
big
can of, peaches, green beans, corn.
And stuff people like to eat.
Yeah, don't bring of course, I like beans. Hominy. Yeah, but a big can of ranch-style beans. We're going to take all the donated food and take it over to Christ's Kitchen and give it to Trish Hastings. And she's going to be thrilled because she uses it then to feed needy folks in our community. And it's just an example. The whole thing centers around the mere mocking of the hateful eight, the 8 or so liberal idiot turds in our community who decided to follow the national lack of agenda.
2 weeks later?
Yeah, 2 weeks later, they finally got around to ho-hum. Let's go and make homemade signs, and let's go have a No Kings rally at the Patty Dodson.
Yeah, and play in traffic at the corner of Airline and
Just
Navarro.
The smallest group of insignificant idiots on the planet. So we're mocking that. Your presence, drive by, have... yes, Linda Chris, solid point. I'm sure that Christ Kitchen could use some of those big bags of pinto beans and rice that are over at Sam's. You can buy a huge bag of jasmine rice.
Yep.
And you just as your heart leads you is what we're saying. There is no fee for the taco. We are just giving away tacos. So you're welcome to come and hang out. I thought about, I'll ask you now live on the air. Should I bring my cornhole boards? Is it just too much?
I don't know. Whatever you want to do.
That's just
we don't have an agenda.
It might. Well, that's true. We're like the Democrat Party.
We're not going to sit there with a bullhorn preaching about stuff.
No bullhorn. We'll
know.
have Junior there. You don't need a bullhorn. Yeah. Sure, Ronnie. You come on by. You can have a taco. That's Ron Koshin. For sure. Love to have you come by. Yeah. Scott Tomko asked, the elephant in the room, has anyone looked at the weather?
Do we have a backup date in case we get
No, we're not going to change the date. What we're going to do is rent an awning and put it out there so that at least the grill masters can be underneath
an
awning.
Junior.
Yeah. And then people can drive by. You can just drive up.
We'll just hand it to you.
We'll hand it to you.
So our hand doesn't get wet.
Absolutely. But I mean, I started making a list the other night.
Actually, we could just throw them in the windows.
We could just throw them out. But I started making a list.
I guess we got to wrap them too, right?
Yeah, well, we already have. See, we have gloves to be sanitary.
Yep.
We have those little aluminum sheets.
Okay,
We've got them.
All right.
Your involvement in this process, while completely absent.
I said I was providing the gloves.
Yeah.
Got the gloves.
I want you to know this is my gift to Ash. He's been totally
completely
removed from this entire process. He's done absolutely nothing, which is great. It's solid leadership by Ash. I've already got a list: cooler, table, foil, salt, pepper, garlic salt, eggs, bacon, chopping block sausage, spatula, something to think about, spatula. I'm going to bring 2. Bring 2 of those. A whisk, a large mixing bowl. Rylan will be there. Yeah. Yeah. A listener says, hateful, turds, idiots, so mature. Bullying becomes you.
It's not bullying.
You've become those things. That's who you are.
The bullying occurs at these events.
Look, man, when you try to offer up or even have a discussion, and all they do is flip you the bird tell you to get lost or that's exactly
accuse you of being Trump deranged. That's I mean, all you have to do, maybe they didn't. Well, I know people drove by here and got the finger shot to them, the bird.
They did. I know people that happened to, from like a dozen people that Channel 25 reported hundreds of people were at the No Kings rally only because the farmer's market was right next door. Yeah. There's no chance.
Well, we'll take credit for those folks too.
Yeah. No chance. I'll be curious to see what Tammy Keeling drops off on Saturday.
But nobody has ever answered. I've asked many on the left, what king are you actually protesting? And they won't answer it.
Well, they don't, because there's no answer, because they didn't think through.
Because there is no king.
That's right. Hello, Cody Bauman checking in. Sherry Jacobs. Yeah. Full wraps, gloves. How about a trash can and liner? And then the last entry on the list says Bloody Marys. I'm just saying.
There we go. Jordan Glass Jr., Stephanie Connie, Crystal Mapp.
Yeah. I don't think the weather will be a problem.
Tammy Williams. It changes all the time. We'll wait. Linda Christ, Ricky King.
Great
Justin
group.
Glass,
Carrie Bump. Hi, Carrie.
Monty Howard checking in. Ricky King, Micah Patton, Vance Riley. Good morning. I'm sure we'll see Vance there for a taco. Andrew Alvarez, Lisa Poole, Scott Snow, BJ Nelson, Rena Scherer. Good morning. There's Bobby Leister reminding us it's pre-call to Tuesday. Already made his donation of lots of food. Daniel Wade White checking in. Torrin Bales, Scott Tom.
Hi,
Greg
Rena.
Garcia. Good morning.
Torrin Bales, by the way, did something that I would love for any of you to do. That Torrin has got to be out of town this weekend, but Torrin just made a cash donation and said, buy what you need to make the tacos, use the rest when you and Ash go to Sam's and buy cases of canned goods. Now, I don't know, and I'll ask some of you if you have a connection. I thought about reaching out to like a Cisco or a PFG or maybe even one of my restaurant clients and saying, can you place an order? And is there enough savings on canned goods to get them to order it through the restaurant and me pay them cash as opposed to just going to Sam's and buying it?
Wonder if they could do that.
I don't know.
It's a good question.
But I mean, we're going from a no profit to a not for profit. I mean, nothing is. There's Tammy Keeling, conveniently out of town. Have fun. You can donate, Tammy. Be like Torrin Bales.
Make a donation and say, hey, I want this to go to the canned food.
You can specify where it'll go. Yeah. I'll ask you, do you trust me to return those funds to you in the form of better services and better canned goods to Christ Kitchen?
We'll even take a picture of what we bought just to.
Oh, I'll take a picture of the receipt.
Just to ease your mind.
So Junior says Performance Food Group won't sell to the
Pay attention, public. Junior. That's why you said maybe I'll go
Should
through
I
one
go
of
to one of my restaurant
partners.
Clients and get them to order it? Junior, we'll do the thinking. You do the flipping of the eggs.
Yeah, but no flipping of the birds. We won't stoop to those levels.
Absolutely. Kenny, I'll keep an eye out for your donation and appreciate your support of the program. You're vital. So, top story of the day, I'm going to go with
which one?
The top story of the day is the Hantavirus. Right?
Yeah.
Oh, she went direct. Sure,
nice.
You did.
Well, good. I'm glad you did.
Glad you did.
So,
the virus.
Well, let's just there's a cruise ship off the coast of somewhere.
Yeah, in the
Atlantic
Mediterranean or somewhere over there.
And
somewhere else.
They're trying to get to the Cape Verde Islands, which is basically where all the hurricanes start, pre-hurricane season.
They're trying to get there before it starts.
Yeah. Because they dropped some people off in Johannesburg, including I think a gentleman who died and his wife who's now in the hospital there. 2 crew members are sick. So the story kind of unravels a little bit of what they're telling you. But this is 150 people on a cruise ship. Why this has captured the world's attention is beyond me.
Because they've given up on that news lady's mother.
Oh, maybe she's on this ship.
When was the last time anybody mentioned the Epstein files? Serious question. Why is that not top of mind every moment? Could it be
Iran?
That maybe there was much ado about nothing? I think that's interesting. James Kurth and Cody Bauman both opine that if you're flipping eggs, are you pseudo flipping the bird? Yes. But the egg is an unfertilized bird, a hopeless bird, much like flipping the bird from the Hateful Eight. Yeah.
Flightless bird.
Flightless.
Got an emu?
Feckless. But at any rate, this virus has now affected. It's a really big yacht. It's about the size. It's about the size of Tiger Woods' personal yacht. Yeah. But the virus is promoted through. This is the bad part. Rodent droppings, urine. That's how it spreads. Bat stew.
Supposedly, it can't spread or isn't easily transmitted amongst people.
Yeah. Scott Tomko points out that's the next pandemic. Yeah. 2 of the deceased victims were a married couple, a 70-year-old man who died on board on the 11th of April. He was declared DOA to the remote Atlantic island of St. Helena on April 24th. Took him 13 days to get the dead dude to shore. Must not have been much of an emergency. Y'all enjoy your outing.
Yeah, nobody would let him on.
His 69-year-old, a 69-year-old woman.
That's his wife, yeah.
Oh, was seen dancing the night away at the Boatside Club. No, not really. It's a bad deal. Yeah, it's in exposure to infected rodents, but it's a European or it's not an American.
There's 17 Americans on board of this thing, but what they're saying is they're not sure how the people got it. They're saying it could have been, they could have had some interaction while they were on an excursion somewhere, wildlife. But the problem is 2 crew members are ill and a third one, I think, really ill. So 3 crew members have been infected. Crew members typically don't go on excursions. And if this is a disease that is not easily transmitted between people, and that's in quotes.
So it's something they ate.
According to somebody, the World Health Organization's regional director for Europe, Dr. Hans-Henry Kluge, he says it's not easily transmitted between people. So if that's the case, how else did the crew members get it? There has to be rodents on that ship.
You want a flashback?
What's that?
Get me Rex Kramer. Everybody on this aircraft who eats the fish will begin to have convulsions, sweating, fever. Remember Peter Graves starts twitching and sweating,
airplane,
and vomiting. That's great.
This won't be on the Hallmark Channel, but this will be a Lifetime movie. Next year. Yeah.
Let's see, what else do I have? I was up early this morning.
How does this become the news? That's got, every major network we watch, from the BBC to BS Now, was covering it.
Yeah, no, it was on every channel. ABC was talking about, what ramifications it has for the world. CBS was talking about the practicality of how people got it.
Trying to compare this to coronavirus.
Yeah.
So ICE has been replaced by the Secret Service, it appears. As far as the ire of the public now, ever since that idiot at the White House Correspondents' Dinner took a shot at the Secret Service as he was running into the hotel, now you've got a 45-year-old suspect who opened fire near the National Mall yesterday.
Yeah, he was very close to the Washington Monument, and an undercover or a plainclothes, check that out, a plainclothes Secret Service agent. Imagine that. You're in very close proximity to the White House. There are people in the crowd who are nonchalantly observing everything to see if there are ne'er-do-wells, nefarious types lurking around. Well, he saw this guy, plainclothes officer, and he informed people that the guy appeared to have a firearm. The gentleman, Michael Marks, 45, was approached by uniformed Secret Service agents who work at the park sites, and he ran from them and then turned and opened fire, and he injured a young child, shot a 15-year-old. So then he was immediately shot. Agents returned fire, and he was shot. And this guy is, he's in custody, and he has a Texas driver's license. So there's no doubt he was there. They did point out that Vice President J.D. Vance, his motorcade had gone very close by. I know where that is. It's on the backside. So you got the Lincoln Memorial, the reflecting pool, the Washington Monument, and then there's a street. Mm-hmm. So the Vance went that way, probably to or from the White House. And They believe that maybe he was there thinking about taking a shot at the motorcade. They don't know. He was an armed guy who ran from law enforcement. There you have it. And then fired at him.
Yeah.
So the young victim suffered a possible graze wound to his lower body. His injuries are not life-threatening.
He walked himself to the ambulance.
Yeah,
that was
just
nearby.
bleeding. I'm sure he was just bleeding, like, ow.
And then his ambulance got a Secret Service escort to the hospital. That's
nice.
The kid's going to tell this
It's
story
a
for the rest
great
of his
memory
life.
from D.C. Yeah.
Yeah. How much more interactive
They probably
can you get?
charged him for that. Yeah, Stephanie, we will talk about that. The other guy, your friend, Maxwell Cole, or whatever his name was, the guy that rushed into the correspondence dinner.
Yeah.
Yeah. This clown of a judge who was involved in some of the January 6th. Remember the fake insurrection, Donald Trump's personal attack on democracy? Idiots. The same judge that was involved in some of those hearings literally apologized to this man who was apparently trying to kill Donald Trump. They put him, because it's assumed that he might be on suicide watch, they put him in his own secluded cell, not in the general population, which I think is smart. And the judge apologized to him, Ash, and said, I am sorry that you were treated so poorly and isolated. And by the way, I think people that were involved in January 6th were treated better than you. Well, nobody tried to kill the president of the United States on January the 6th. Either one, Biden nor Trump.
Nor this guy.
Right.
Because the guy did not shoot at the president, Stephanie. It wasn't anywhere close.
Well, but do you have any doubt? So do you think he was trying to commit suicide by law enforcement? I mean, why do you think he was there? I think he absolutely, if he could have, in his mind, if he could have gotten by the Secret Service,
he could have gotten by the Secret Service.
He would have taken a shot at the president.
But he didn't.
Yeah. I mean, I think the guy's going to get rung up for, 25 to life just for firing
I've got questions.
At a federal agent.
I've got questions when I read parts of his manifesto. And it was like he already knew. I mean, supposedly he wrote this before the attack, but it was phrased in such a way that he saw things. Maybe he's Kreskin. He saw things before they happened.
He
but the
may
way
be
he
clairvoyant.
wrote it, yeah. Go back and read it if you can still find it online. I don't know, but it's weird because he seemed to reference things that hadn't happened yet, but then they happened.
Maybe
as
he's
he
a prophet.
Them. So, yeah, I don't know. It's just weird.
Yeah. Yeah, January 6th was fake. If you go back, I've gone back and put the two side by side, and I know you've done the same thing because we take the time to learn. You can listen to what Donald Trump says, and not the snippets that CNN literally took out of context and then pieced together as if it was all one sentence, and it's been proven that it was not. And in real time, you can watch Donald Trump say, we're going to walk down to the Capitol now and peacefully make our presence known. Were there some bad actors there? Absolutely there were. Were there some Democrat plant and FBI people there? Absolutely there were. And there was only one shot fired, and it was against a woman that was told not to come through that window. I can't fault law enforcement for shooting her. They took her gun and shot her with it. Very interesting. But at the end of the day, and I've made this comment, if there's ever going to be an insurrection, there'll be a lot more people showing up with a lot more weapons.
It ain't going to be a bunch of old ladies walking through the velvet ropes in the rotunda of the Capitol.
That's right. The whole thing was a media circus.
Which was a whole bunch of the video on C-SPAN for the longest time.
The way you know that it's a circus is even the extremely left-leaning and often corrupt Department of Justice, not one time in any state Has Donald Trump even been charged with insurrection? That word was used for a reason, because an insurrection is highly punishable, especially when you're an elected official. It simply didn't happen that way. A group of people who were not really good people. We said that then. They're trespassers. They should be charged and prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. It is dumb that they were breaking windows at our nation's capital. But numerically, it was nobody.
No.
Mathematically, it was not even a percentage of the people in D.C. at that time.
It wasn't enough to overtake anything.
Yes. Linda Christ, I agree. Nancy Pelosi, maybe she didn't put January 6th together, but what she did do is rely on human emotion and facilitated the ease with which the ignorant people did bad things. It was easy for them to do the wrong thing.
Because, her Trump derangement syndrome got the best of her.
Absolutely. Which exists. It exists on this program. Folks, Palace Bingo inviting you in where friends meet friends. Ash is working on a date, as am I. It's more of an event than it is a finalizing of the date. We'll make it work. Palace Bingo where friends meet friends. Get in, help 6 local charities. Is it 7? A bunch of local charities.
A handful.
Yeah, absolutely. Get in and have fun. Paravito Wellness and the Vita Cafe.
We win.
This Sunday.
Mother's Day.
Mother's Day.
Special menu. Some great things. I think lemon ricotta pancakes. Those will be good. And their full regular brunch menu is available, but they've got special items on the menu. Plus, if you order one of those, you get a free frozen mimosa. Limit 2 per person.
There you go. Went Services. Generac, American-made generators. Went Services for all your electrical needs. Give them a call whether you need a plug or you need a ballast for a light or you want to install some new electrical items. Went can do it all for you. Allen's Wrecker Service, 578-6300. Allen is your go-to tow-to. Anywhere in the sound of our voice on the No Bull Network. Calhoun, DeWitt, Goliad, Gonzales, Karnes City, Atascosa, B, Frio, Jim Hogg. Allen's Wrecker Service. Perfect for you, 578-6300. Veracruz Restaurant, we mentioned their donation of tortillas. That's like somebody just saying, we're giving away Rolexes. It's the best tortilla in town, and it's the foundation of our breakfast tacos. Get in and support Veracruz today. And then Chesnick Furniture Company, inviting you in to look at new bedding. Stearns & Foster, Sealy Posturepedic, Tempur-Pedic. They got the beds that the backs raise. They've got all the different sheets for the separated mattresses. They have all the accoutrement that you need in your home. Get by and see them today. Welcome back to the Atson Offer Studio, where for over 100 years, Atson Offer has been a South Texas tradition. I haven't even mentioned to Tommy Taylor that we're having the rally. And I'm being sincere when I tell you this. They do so much. I think that it's important maybe that we do this one on our own. And I mean
this
that.
Passive-aggressive move. Yeah.
Is that what that is? See, I don't even see it. Does that make me humble or ignorant?
Both?
Sure. I'm very proud of my humility in my ignorance. Yeah. There you go. Torn Bills, you don't shred all of the evidence if it's a legitimate charge. There has been never one charge against Donald Trump for insurrection. No. Not one big-time genius lawyer has stepped up.
They all called it that. All the politicians called it that.
Every news outlet.
Except anybody that wanted to charge him because they knew it was bogus.
Didn't do anything.
No.
He didn't do anything. He certainly didn't say. And by the way, do you think I'll allow that there's a certain amount of voting inaccuracy, period, whether it's intentionally fraudulent or accidental. There's voting inaccuracy. Percentage-wise, probably not enough, right? But it's there. Do you think,
except in 2020,
has Donald Trump been, vindicated, if you will, by calling the election stolen?
I think 2020 was. All you got to do is look at the numbers that Biden got.
80 million votes for Joseph R. Biden. Come on.
No.
I don't buy it.
It's the one blip in the anomaly of elections.
It was too big. They overdid themselves.
Yeah.
They did too much.
Since Duval County.
Yeah, absolutely. I had more data.
But I mean, but you look at what didn't happen this in 2024, right? Compared to 2020, the drop boxes weren't allowed or as prevalent. You couldn't harvest ballots anymore. People weren't allowed to just mail in ballots who had no business mailing in a ballot. And the numbers and the outcome spoke for itself.
You know what's interesting? You look around, and I think it's worked out better that Trump didn't win his last term. It has. The timing of this term has been fairly on point. So I've been pleased with that.
Yeah, I don't know that he would have had 4 years to refine what he was doing. And as we know, I've agreed with him up until Iran on most of what he's done.
Yeah. But, you look back, and it's exactly like when you talk about the insurrection, the thing that gets lost. Remember when when Trump was convicted of fraud, felony fraud, multiple counts over those loans where, he basically said, I bought this house for $250,000, but it's on the CAD for $600,000. I'm going to get an appraisal that shows it's worth $600,000 because I can borrow 80%. I own it outright. I can borrow 80% of that, or say $480,000, against a property that I only paid $250,000 for. And then I can turn around and reinvest that money into something else. Donald Trump did that.
Back.
And all of you would do that. All of you would do that. It's not illegal. If the bank agrees, which, by the way, the bank is going to err on the side of being conservative. If the bank agrees, you borrow the money, he paid it back early with interest.
Yeah.
Think about it. The bank said he is a diamond level client and we would absolutely loan him money again. Guilty. Felony fraud. It's a joke.
For lying to the bank.
It's
because the bank didn't do the due diligence and go and get it. But whatever.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Real quick, 8. I've heard 6, 7, and 8. These little Iranian small boats. They're very fast. At least 6. They mount a machine gun on them and they go out and they harass our ships. The U.S. just sunk 6 of them yesterday. So Iran is violating the ceasefire, but they're basically doing it, in a bass boat with a machine gun on it. Well, and the president just sunk them.
Well, a drone hit a UAE ship yesterday, and apparently a South Korean cargo ship was also targeted by Iranian drones. But apparently a U.S. flagged merchant vessel, 2 of them actually got through the strait yesterday. So, we'll see how this one plays out. But many are saying that this means the ceasefire is over.
Yes, we reported yesterday that former mayor, I just call him Mayor Rudy Giuliani, he's been a former federal prosecutor. He's been Donald Trump's friend for years and years, which was really his undoing. You'll recall that he probably got a little too vocal about some voter fraud in Georgia and ended up having to settle a defamation case with 2 women that nobody knows who made no living for $148 million. Giuliani owed them because he hurt their feelings. History shows that they were probably involved in a voting scam. But at the end of the day, the mayor settled it for much less, was able to keep his assets. He didn't go bankrupt. He had pneumonia and was in a coma, actually. He's 81 years old. Mayor Giuliani back out of the coma, still in the hospital, but looks like this won't be the event that gets him. I listened to Mike Slater say this morning that he's never known any political figure. Giuliani, once known as America's mayor.
Yeah.
He was so instrumental and positive and legendary leadership post 9/11, and now has been tarnished by all kinds of scandal simply for being associated with Donald Trump.
I'm sure a lot of it was. Yep.
Yep. Other news. How about Astros update brought to you by the First State Bank of Louise, the friendliest bank anywhere. Come in. They're small enough to know you by name, big enough to get your job done.
Still a chance for the Astros to take 2 or 3 from the Dodgers.
Yeah. Astros get spanked yesterday, 8-3. Kyle Tucker hit a home run into right field that really got out of there in a hurry. Even Kyle Tucker would not have caught that one. And it was the second straight bullpen day.
Kyle Tucker wouldn't have hit that one in October either.
No, he won't. And that he will become a non-factor for the Dodgers as the year goes on. But
I'd like to see him not to, because I think he's a nice guy.
I think he's a great guy.
He's a great
family
player.
guy.
Since 17, he's just
disappeared.
17. I don't
know 19.
He's just disappeared in the postseason.
But Astros had a bullpen day. Weiss and all these middle relievers pitched 3 innings apiece.
8-3 the final.
Yeah.
Dodgers win.
Astros look pretty bad. I saw something the other day. When we talk about how things come full circle, I try not to be Jen Psaki. I don't circle back on things. But Massachusetts has been brought to the forefront as a state. It's small enough you can really study it. A state where like systemic welfare fraud is a huge problem. And I don't know the original date. They were talking about, let's say, in 2015, 3.2% of folks in Massachusetts were on some type of welfare, government assistance. And now in 2023, the latest number available, that number, Ash, is 15%. So you've got a program that's designed to help eliminate poverty, right?
Yep.
That, by the way, appears to be creating more poverty or facilitating more poverty. And more people are getting on that program. So I would opine that the only reason those programs exist is because the Democrats, in their endless, selfish, godless pursuit of power, are willing to give folks crumbs to keep you beholden to them, because the Republicans aren't going to feed you. They're not going to give you the SNAP. So it's how the Democrats keep the wrong people down, placate you with a little bit of money, a little bit of cheese, and then keep you voting for them. It's government corruption at the very highest levels. It's amazing. Yeah. It's designed to eliminate a problem, and the problem continues to grow.
Speaking of problems that continue to grow, Ohio now the target of federal government investigations. J.D. Vance informing the DOJ to start looking into potential Medicare fraud in Ohio. Luke Rosiak, who's a reporter for the Daily Wire, was diving into a bunch of data from the Doge report, and Ohio expanded their Medicare program, much like Minnesota, to allow for Medicare to pay for things like cooking for people, cleaning their houses, things like that. Well,
if you can't get up to, I mean, how much house cleaning do you need?
How is that Medicare's responsibility?
How is that my responsibility? Make a friend. Get your kids to come by and clean your house. Let me give you some numbers, Ash. Massachusetts is implementing a 10% increase in cash assistance benefits for families, raising the maximum family of 3 grant to $861 a month. Follows a significant growth with SNAP expenditures rising 131% since 2019. 1 out of every 4 state budget dollars goes to welfare
in Massachusetts.
So for every $100 they take from you in taxes, 25 of it right off the top goes to people that in general don't contribute to Massachusetts.
Our government is ripe for fraud, folks. At all levels.
1 in 6, what do you call them? Massachusettsians?
Sure.
Massholes? Massholes. 1 in 6 massholes receive SNAP.
I know a few. They're not.
Supplemental nutrition. 1 in 6. Enrollment is up 40% over the last decade. Spending on housing and homelessness programs has more than doubled since 2019. That was just the other day. Since 2019.
I bet those numbers are consistent probably across every state.
That's my fear. Yeah.
Because we've let in so many illegals and allowed so many refugees to come into this country.
Yeah. The overall budget, 25% of the state budget is now allocated to welfare programs. Is that crazy? I agree 100% with Andrew Alvarez. If you are on welfare, you should not be allowed to vote. This is no different than Congress. We all get upset when Congress votes themselves a raise. They're not ever going to let you vote on that.
No.
So why would you let somebody who's on the government dole vote on matters that affect welfare? You should not. Yep.
This Ohio thing is going to, and here's the thing. I don't know it'll blow up like Minnesota did because that was the first one, right? Like the California hospice thing, where hospices had a 97% send you home rate,
which is impossible. I mean,
which means
Citizens Hospital doesn't have that rate.
No, 3% of people who were admitted into hospice actually fulfilled the hospice mission of providing end-of-life care.
Yeah.
The rest of them all got better and they went home. So basically, they were bringing people in,
getting all the welfare money you can for 26 weeks or whatever, then sending them home.
They were just they weren't going to die.
No.
Luke Rosiak uncovered 94 Medicaid, quote, home health companies that took home $66 million of tax money. They were providing butlers to immigrants, according to his report. They're all 66 of these are in a building, kind of like the Somali catering companies.
Just a bunch of DBAs.
Yeah,
that's all it is. A bunch of DBAs.
They've got nobody there.
Yep. Yeah.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
It is absolutely people scamming the system.
I was asking the other day what happened to all the Doge, and here it is, and nobody even cares.
Yeah, that's right.
$66 million. Hundreds of millions of dollars in Minnesota. Hundreds of millions of dollars in California.
Look at that billboard, caring for a loved one at home. Get paid, get support. Whatever just happened to families taking care of their own? Is that unheard of now? Yeah, because we got to work 2 jobs because we got the BMW and that 85-inch frame TV.
Yeah,
we have to do that. By the way, Bob Constantine, very excited about being at the rally this weekend, insisting, not only is he bringing a huge bag of cheddar cheese, he's insisting upon making a whole bunch of pico de gallo and putting it in those little, so people will have pico available if they want it. This is going to be a big deal. I hope you can attend. You're going to be thrilled. I mean it. It's going to be fun. That's right. Junior says SNAP is not a supplemental anymore. It's a primary source of income. And that's why the left is always screaming, look, you just give them the money. It humiliates them to tell them what to spend it on. That's why you always see, I'll tell you what you see all the time. The fat mama with the fat kid eating out of the McDonald's bag, while mama's at the stove buying cigarettes and she's loaded up with tattoos. So they got money for booze and ciggies and tats because they can't use the WIC card for that
yet.
And then they feed their kid crap because they're ignorant or they don't know better or they don't care. And we raise another fat ass group of people that are dependent.
And you wonder why healthcare costs are through the roof, because our healthcare is not healthcare, it's sick care.
Absolutely. And if you try, even Michelle Obama tried. Big Mike tried to help kids have a better diet at school and got pushback. We can't afford to feed them fresh vegetables. Why doesn't somebody here in Victoria County start a cooperative farm? Look, you've got A&M Victoria here now. There's going to be an agricultural program. Why don't we take some of these juniors and seniors that are not necessarily college bound and teach them how to work in the ag business and actually produce some of the food that ends up in our schools? Wouldn't it be something if you could go to class and go, how'd you like that squash today? I grew that. I did that. It'd be awesome. It'd be cheaper. It would be healthier.
I don't know, it'd be cheaper.
Well, even if it was just awesome and healthier, it'd be worth it.
I agree.
Why not?
Because you still have mom bringing a sack full of McDonald's or Chick-fil-A to school at lunch because their kid won't eat vegetables.
Oh, yeah.
Because you've never fed your kid vegetables, or you don't know how to cook them properly and you give them a mouthful of mush.
Yeah. I can remember being at Hal. I had a buddy. I'd go in and get like a hamburger that, you know, you had the snack bar. You had the snack bar. I'd go in and get a hamburger and a thing of milk, whatever. He'd get we all had kind of like a $5 budget, you know. He'd get like 9 Reese's. You know, that's what he would get. But he bought it with his own money. It wasn't SNAP.
Wow.
So I know a guy. If this is a problem in our education system, I know a guy who can introduce legislation.
Yeah, but I'm sure there's a state rule that won't allow you to use fresh garden vegetables.
I'm sure the state is involved. We can still grow them, sell them, and use the money for something else.
Jonathan Williams, you're right. It would be awesome, but inevitably somebody would try to control and manipulate the egg farm. Yeah, we'd sell it to China.
Yeah, true. But you know what, Jonathan, in all fairness, and I know Jonathan to be very thoughtful, very bright and all that. In fairness, people bring me the problems. They don't bring me the solutions. I mean, I'm being sincere. We can all say, oh, well, the state would never let you do that. Oh, yeah, well, it would be corrupt. Or, you know, I mean, find the solutions. And that's how you make things better.
Final break?
Who's left?
I don't know.
Chopping block this week. By the way, if you've never had the breakfast sausage from the chopping block, it's fresh. I find it to be very lean.
I like the lumberjack one.
Yep. We're going to bring out several. You want spicy sausage with that? And I think when you do the tacos, you have to dedicate a bowl to sausage and egg, and you cook the eggs in the sausage. You don't just like have eggs and then ladle on sausage. You mix it together. That'll be great. We mentioned Dearland Feed. We've mentioned everybody but USA Foundation Repair. They can shim up your pier and beam home, make it so your doors close again. And then if you choose in your spring cleaning to seal those cracks and repaint,
they can do all that.
It'll be great.
Your driveway is a little uneven. You got a portion of it that's dropped a little bit.
They can fix that
as well. Yep.
Yes, absolutely. I'm doing some research on a program that I heard Governor Abbott spoke about. I haven't found the video yet, but I will. He was speaking at a Texas, so I'm giving you the website, a Texas Conservative Coalition Research Institute meeting.
Okay.
Where the governor apparently said that he has a desire, and he'd done enough research that he had a number. He said that the M&O and INS of all the school districts in Texas could be funded for $18 billion a year.
That seems low.
I don't know.
When Dallas ISD just issued a $6.2 billion bond.
He didn't say he was paying their bond debt.
No, but if that's what it costs them to do all they're doing for building and maintenance, $18 billion ain't going to get it done. That's a third of that money right there.
You just heard Ash call out the governor's accounting live on radio. The governor may target you. He's been known to target people.
The whole point of this show is to call out government when we see them being idiots.
I'm going to go with the fact that the numbers are correct, that $18 billion a year would cover the M&O and INS in the budgets of all the school districts in the state. He wants to take that money from the surplus that the state has. It's a double-edged sword because it does cut both ways. It funds the schools going forward with surplus dollars instead of your tax dollars. And the portion of your tax dollars that go to M&O and INS can be taken off of your property taxes. You would still have, for example, the portion of your taxes related to VISD that are for the bonds that we just passed and the bonds applicable to, the East and West and Cade, Taurus. But if the governor is successful, now BJ Nelson says, if the state 100% funds all public schools, all control will be with the states, no local control. BJ, just so you know, if the governor says he's going to fund all the M&O and INS, take the money. Take the money. Because what he's doing is he's answering two big criticisms. We need property tax reform, and why don't you give back all that surplus money?
Give it back.
So we know from our own VISD after their failure of a tax grab post-Harvey, we know they never give it back. They never give it back. In fact, there's lots of money that's been spent at the school district that nobody really seems to understand where it went prior to this current administration.
Well, the last two legislative sessions, our Republican-led state legislature has had a total of $50 billion in surplus. They've spent every single dime of it. It's not, They haven't cut anything. They've spent it all. And most of that is oil royalty revenue. So if and when, and it has happened where oil royalties haven't been $25 billion. In fact, there's been times when there's been almost nothing. Then what?
But I guess you have to pay it out of the general fund. It is sad that $18 billion isn't that big a number to the state of Texas. It's flattering, but it's kind of sad. BJ Nielsen says all state money comes with strings. BJ, take the money.
Nope, fight back. Don't take it and tell them to fix it.
Good luck.
2022-23 school year, $92.4 billion was total funding for all Texas public education, which included local, state, and federal sources for K-12.
Right.
So $18 billion ain't covering it. That's the total budgets.
That's right. That's the total budget includes all kinds of things.
Total funding for Texas public schools. So there you go. That $18 billion ain't going to cut it. $18 billion ain't funding it all.
We will see.
But again, this is a governor who has never found a budget surplus that he hasn't liked to spend every dime. That's why he has Democrats on some of those panels, because they love to spend your money.
Totally agree. Like I said, we're just having a discussion. I'm going to review the audio. I have not done so yet. I may call in an expert to do so. I could always get a hold of the head of the House Education. Dr. Brad Buckley would certainly come on the program again. So we could do that. But very interesting.
53,000 more students selected to participate in the new Texas Education Freedom Accounts, coupled with the 42,000 in April that were given priority based on the tiering of the programs. We're almost at the 100,000 students that the program was funded for.
Right. Says below, more than 274,000 families applied for TIFA accounts.
You think by next legislative session they're going to give 300,000 families an opportunity to take part in this?
Yeah, I think they'll push the $1 billion to $3 billion. And I think when they do that, you're going to see a lot of pressure on Governor Abbott to help fund schools better.
Because didn't they say that they figured at best 200,000 families would apply for the program back when they were when this was being passed? Now we've got almost a third more than that just applying. First tier was those who had disabilities. Second tier were those whose income levels were at or below 200% of the federal poverty level. They used a lottery to select award recipients because they had too many of them apply, and then everybody else is being on a wait list because families have until July 15th to accept their awards. That seems kind of late, though, doesn't it? If I'm trying to get into a charter school, private school, somewhere where my voucher can be used,
right,
I'm probably not getting into the school of choice on July 15th or July 16th.
Probably not. You know, I was thinking again the other day about how that Hakeem Jeffries kind of went crazy on the Supreme Court. They called him the Trump's court when they decided to kind of readdress the gerrymandering and the idea that it's somehow legislated that it's okay to construct voting zones that quote unquote better represent the population. It's very interesting because the law is, no pun intended, black and white. If you can do that, if you can structure districts based on the racial makeup you want in the district, which is against the law, then you should be able to do the same thing when the people are white. It's discrimination via the law works both ways. It doesn't matter what your pigment is.
How did Wesley Hunt get elected in a mostly white district?
He was conservative and smart. I guess my last thought to BJ, and she knows more about this than I do, is I think we're naive to think that the state doesn't control public education already. That's why good people like BJ are in there fighting against curriculum, fighting for the way we educate our kids, fighting for curriculum that, for example, doesn't state evolution as fact when it's still just a theory. Very interesting to me that anybody would say, we'll take $94 billion from the state, but we don't want that other $18 billion. Take the money. And by the way, you're going to take the money either way. It won't be your choice. If you think the state doesn't control public education, the state and lobbyists control public education. Folks, it's the top of the hour. We wish you nothing but the best. I hope you have a great day. Everybody should either join, donate, or come by and bring a can to the Wade and Carter No Fools Rally this Saturday, Patty Dodson, beginning at 7:30.
We'll see you there, and we'll see you tomorrow. Bye,
Bye,
folks.
folks.